Hello, huddlers. Some of you had the good fortune to meet Amanda Kahlow during our recent East Coast Strategy Labs, where she challenged us to rethink go-to-market from a clean slate in an AI-first world. Amanda has been pushing this industry forward for years, from co-founding 6sense to now building OneMind. And her message during the labs was clear. Incremental tweaks to the old go-to-market model just won't cut it. Today, we're going to continue that conversation and explore what the future of SDRs actually look like. And then at the end, Amanda's going to show us how OneMind is quite literally drinking its own champagne with Mindy, their superhuman teammate who is already driving pipeline. And oh, by the way, if you're joining us at any of the strategy labs on the West Coast or in the Midwest, you will also get to meet Amanda. All right. Hello, Amanda. How are you and where are you this fine day?
I am great. Thanks for having me, Drew. Always a pleasure to see you. I am in Northern California, just north of San Francisco in Marin County in Mill Valley.
No, I love it. Okay. Well, so let's get to this. And just in case our audience needs to leave early or we need to convince them to stay, if you would be so kind as to list 3 mistakes you see marketing and revenue leaders making when it comes to their SDR teams and their bigger go-to-market strategies, as I mentioned, in this AI first world.
Yeah, I'll take it as the larger question around the go-to-market for marketing. The 3 biggest mistakes. One, philosophically, that we are aligning our playbooks and our processes around humans instead of around outcomes. And in a world where AI can actually drive to outcomes, should be aligned around outcomes. Number 2,
right.
Yep. Number 2, around thinking about measuring to the top of the funnel, pipeline, versus the bottom of the funnel, revenue, deal size, et cetera. And number 3, speed to lead. I think we've talked about it for a really long time, but we are not hitting it on the head and addressing it in a way that is possible today.
Okay, I love the fact that these are big things. These are really big things. So let's go through the first one, the philosophy about aligning around humans as opposed to outcomes. Talk about why this is such a big problem, and then we can go into details in terms of ultimately, I know we're going to solve it here too.
Yeah, I think, well, if you go back in history where we've evolved, everything we did was around a human, right? So a human had to take the call. A human is doing selling. Everything that we were building, we had systems of record to support humans. So you have Salesforce and SAP and Oracle and all of those systems of records so that humans could go in and get the reports and the analytics and know where the deal is and get my pipeline and understand what's happening. Then we built systems of engagement. So we built the systems like the Outreach and the Gong and 6sense and SalesLoft, all of those systems of engagement. Again, those 2 were so humans could engage their buyers. But we've now moved to a world where AI can work autonomously for us. So the shift that we need to be thinking about is the systems of outcome, and that where we really can move to a world of hyper personalization. And I'm not talking about OneMind here either. So there are so many tools right now that can actually build content for you and hyper personalize every touch across the buyer's journey. And so if we really think about the end state of hyper-personalization and systems of outcome versus systems of engagement or humans being the center, we want to think about outcomes being the center. We flip our thinking and what we would actually put in place at our organization. So I always say, if you could, and the hardest thing as an executive to do is think from the state of first principles of, if I had a clean slate today with the tools that I have available, what would I do and how would I do it? And then work backward into how you'll get there. And of course, as a large organization, you're not going to get there on day 1 and you can't rip everything out, but you can slowly, instead of saying, how can I make today better? I think most people are saying, how can I make what I'm doing today better? And that will only give you incremental gains versus exponential gains.
And it's so interesting because I know we've talked about this in the labs and so forth. the companies that are smaller, that are not burdened by as many people and as many systems and
Yeah.
so forth, are making these giant leap forwards, both out of necessity, but because they can, right? They don't. And so that's just so interesting. Okay, so if you start with outcomes, you might completely redesign your go-to-market strategy from start to finish, no doubt. Okay, and then I know where all of this is going, but let's get to the second one, which is measuring. And I wasn't sure when you said we're measuring pipeline instead of measuring revenue. What's the issue, and what's this? What are you proposing?
I'm basically proposing that MQLs are dead. So the idea, and this is what we're all driving towards. We're driving towards that pipeline number, and then we hand it to sales. I actually think we're moving to a world where sales should report to marketing.
Oh,
And
wait, full stop. Let's hear a big round of applause on that one. Wait, sales is going to report to marketing. Okay, thumbs up on that. Okay, great. How do we get there?
because if marketing can control the conversation from first touch to close, right now, marketing controls the conversation from awareness to first touch to lead, and then they pass it off. And then they say, okay, sales, now you go take it. If marketing is completely controlling the narrative and can actually do the selling, which is actually one of the challenges when I get into what we're working on, I typically will sell to somebody in marketing, but I'm asking the marketing team to create a sales experience. Right. So I'm asking my buyers to think about how would you engage your customers to sell, not to market, not to try to explain how your differences, what your differences are, but actually have the best solution selling, use the best sales methodologies, right? Use MedPick in conversation to drive the lead forward, to handle objections, to do all the things that you teach our sellers to do. So, we're seeing this just the beginning stages, like this is early innings, but I have customers using our superhumans and there's other agents like this. And this isn't about just superhumans, but taking from first touch on your website all the way to close and then onboarding, right? So when the marketing owns not just awareness and pipeline, but it's owning all the way to close. We've seen agents close deals up to $100,000. And so if that's possible, the art of the possible, it's all possible today. It's just a matter of using technology and putting these agents and other superhumans and things in place to take the conversation and own the full life cycle. And so when I go back to the earlier, what we were talking about is what we should measure. Today, you're going to the board measuring pipeline, but our customers, like one of the largest business social networks, I can't say who they are, it's a customer of ours. And they said we shortened their sales cycle by 23 days and doubled their ACV. So closing deals, SMB and commercial deals through an agentic experience is not measuring. Who cares about pipelines? I'm not measuring. So they're not trying to create leads. They're actually trying to close deals and close business and shorten the sales cycle. So if it is an enterprise or commercial, enterprise or strategic deal, of course, it may not go all the way to close today. But what we should be measuring towards is that when we're having a conversation early with an agentic-like experience, like a superhuman, deal cycles are shortening, and ACV is going up, and we're delivering more revenue as a result. Your pipeline is going to go down because you don't need the leads. if it's doing that. If she's skipping stages, you may actually have fewer leads at the top of the funnel, but the bottom of the funnel will be exponentially more healthy.
It's interesting. I mean, I think there are a number of folks that are listening right now or listening later who will say MQLs have been dead for a while, and we buried them before, but I don't think they made the leap that you have made from MQLs, because I think what they've done is they've said we are not, the only thing that matters is pipeline.
I'm saying right. Pipeline is dead.
Right, you're going all the way to revenue, and it's interesting, and boy, it is hard mentally for folks to wrap their minds
100%.
around this, because
100%. And think about it incremental. Right. Here's the way to think of it. If you're a big company, you can't do it on day one. You're probably looking at me and going, Amanda, yeah, right. I can't do that at my company. There's no way. We have too many processes. There's too many things. Find an example where there is no business model for a human today.
Right.
So, what is that segment where you can't engage with them with humans and then prove it there? Or, for example, we had, I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name right now, but we've crazy results for one of our customers. Until I get approval, I'm not going to share the company name, but it's a go-to-market tech company. It's a publicly traded company. And they came back and said, like, they took the segment that they would never put their sellers. They wouldn't even put their SMB or commercial sellers. It was in a region that they're never going to touch, but they had leads coming in and they're like, you go try to close those. In a matter of weeks, we created it, not pipeline, but 10 figures in revenue as a result of being able to pick up those, what you would call like dead leads, or they don't qualify, to give us the non-qualified, the ones that you're going to throw away anyway, and see if we can shake something out. There is something in there where we can have a conversation and move that forward. Let's prove it there and then move to, okay, now let's prove it with more of our commercial or SMB sellers. Then let's go up market to the enterprise.
I mean, I was thinking as much about I was talking to a CMO today, literally, when we were talking about they want to have more impact on pipeline. They don't own BDRs and SDRs today. They were thinking, okay, I would want to own BDRs. And it's so interesting because that framework alone is going to get you to a place that is not the future. It's going to be behavior that's the past, right? I mean, it's a good goal, but which is to own revenue or own pipeline and be able to do that. And what's interesting, I think the parallel here for any of the say PLG brands where there's an e-commerce component, right? Yep. And they're closing on the website, the CMO immediately goes, oh yeah, well, I run e-commerce, I have revenue, and they get that. And in fact, that's someone goes to your website and buys, the human intervention was you created this sales experience that allowed them to close. What you're talking about is replacing the human to do what I just described that e-commerce is doing. It's almost turning it into e-commerce.
It's in a world. So if you think about think of a PLG motion where you go to free trial, you get a ton of people to sign up. And most free trial PLG companies have mass amounts of people to sign up.
Right.
That conversion from free to paid is 1 to 10% if you're lucky. What if I could turn that 1% into 2%? And that's $1 billion company, right? Because what you're doing is in that moment, you're engaging the buyer and you're saying, hey, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you somebody else who built something similar with our tool or used the tool in this way, who looks like you. Oh, I see you from this industry, this vertical, and you've got this pain point. Let me actually relate to your needs and have an empathetic conversation and then show you, and then literally get into the product and have AI click around, screen navigate, give a live demo and show you how to use it and help you get unstuck. Like, for example, at HubSpot, they're a customer of ours. They've been using us for a little over a year. They have 4 live superhumans right now. And we initially were set out to service their SMB business. And actually that's where it is. It lives behind, there's one place where the first superhuman lives behind the form when somebody says they want a demo, and they're never going to give them a human because they're a small segment. It's the SMB and super SMB, very SMB side of their business. And so what she does is she gives the live demo, and then she drives them to sign up, and then she drives them to actually start paying. But what they noticed is 25% of their audience started asking questions about support and how do I use this, right? So right away, marketing, that's what I was saying, marketing can't just be about creating leads. Marketing is about supporting the customer. It's about being the CSM, like a real on the website, taking them through and showing them how to use the product so that they can move forward and then they want to buy. So if you get them unstuck, you're going to move them to the next stage of their journey. So there is no single role. So the one thing I'm also trying to get people to stop thinking about is oh, I want to use AI for this particular role.
Right.
Your buyers don't come and will have I need an SDR question answered. No, they have questions. They want a solution. They want to buy, and they want to, in that same session, they want to upsell and they want to start using it and getting value out of it. So how can I get to value as soon as possible through a marketing-led experience?
So, and I think your third point or third mistake was speed to lead. And I feel like that's what you're describing, right? You just described, but I just want to make sure that we've covered. And so, because we had the 3 points at the beginning of the philosophical design around humans versus outcomes. measuring, but speed to lead really is what?
I mean, in no world should we make anyone wait. If they have filled out a form, there are many different tools out there that can engage your buyer right there and give the live demo, answer their questions, solution with them. Why are we waiting to hand them to a junior SDR? Because that junior SDR can't answer the tough technical questions, can't actually give the demo. They're only there to qualify. And if we think of what we're doing with an SDR today, especially I'm talking specifically about an inbound SDR. So an inbound, what we're doing, we're making them go to a human who is not there to serve your buyer. So not creating a delightful experience. And best of intentions of that junior SDR and that team, they're doing their job, but they have capacity limitations. They don't understand the product well enough to give that demo. They can't solution like a sales engineer or solutions engineer. But imagine on that first touch, you can bring your solutions engineer, you can bring your first call AE and your SDR who's going to do the MedPIC qualification all combined into one to meet that buyer. They're active, they're ready, they're engaged. Speed to lead is not 10 minutes, it's instant. It needs to be right away. And buyers are going to start demanding this as there are so many tools right now, like us being one of them, but there's more. This is not like go do the diligence of what's best for your business, but there are so many tools who right there in the moment can meet their needs and give them the answers and the questions that they have so that you can move them forward faster, which then again shrinks the deal cycle at the end of the day.
It's so interesting. I mean, philosophically, as I think about CMOs and the role as leaders of the organization, the goal of putting the customer at the center, which all CMOs will say, yes, where the customer should be at the center, and we believe that. But when you described at the strategy lab what the typical sales experience is, it's the opposite, right? I mean, are you good enough? Do you have a big enough budget to buy our product right now? Before I can even get you to a salesperson who you don't want to talk to, you're going to have to answer these questions and pick up the phone and deal with me, and I know nothing. And then you get to a salesperson and you still can't really buy the product. I mean, the whole description that you described of a sales experience is the opposite of putting a customer at the center.
We take them through this journey of all these handoffs from one to the next. From our website, if we actually take it all the way back, it's from like search on Google or an LLM, then you end up getting to a website. If you're lucky, they make it to your website. If you're doing things right and AEO, GEO, you're paid. And then they go to an SDR who's just there to qualify, and then an AE that's only there to pitch. And then you get a tough technical question, then you get an SE, and then you get a CSM, and then you get an account manager. Like what we do to buyers is absolutely awful. So my philosophy is that how can we collapse that? How can we serve the buyer? How can we have unlimited memory recall, no capacity limitations, not think about these different roles? And the roles are there because humans have limitations. They have time limitations, recall limitations, can only do so much. It looks like Andy has a question.
Yes. Okay. We have Andy Weiss from New York City. Andy, bring a good one. I got a lot more. What do you got?
Okay. So, Amanda, I heard you talk at the strategy lab, and this time around, I think you and Drew hit on an analogy that I think resonated for a lot of us, and that's the e-commerce one. Like we've been there and done that, trying to sell in e-commerce, and I think there was a lot of head nodding with that and a lot of cheers when you talked about marketing owning sales. So where I'm going with this is whether it's with OneMind or something similar, using your customers as a proxy, how do we lead our organizations to this scenario where we're skipping over MQLs? It's no longer pipeline, it's the speed to lead, and it's this painting this picture that you've got us all kind of nodding toward. How have you seen that success, and how can we kind of replicate that?
So what I was saying before is take a segment of your business where you wouldn't put a human, or there is no business model right now to go towards the human experience. So think about the leads that you're going to throw away, right? Don't you have the disqualified leads that there's some good ones in there? So why don't you try that? Start there. All it is upside. If it works, it's gravy, right? Then give me the commercial SMB segment, right? Then give me like that down market segment. So let me try to start doing let the superhuman work those that the humans aren't doing today. So we're not disruptive. We can prove this works, prove the conversion rates, show you subjectively and objectively the quality of the conversations. Because at the end of the day, you want to know that your buyers are happy and they're having like 18 turns. On average, HubSpot's turns are 18 turns, which means the conversations are on average like 14 minutes in length, which is just freaking mind blowing, even to me. Like it is beyond what I expected. And that's what they did. They took that segment that they would never put a human and they said, all right, let's put the superhuman. Now she's earning the right to talk to their enterprise accounts and talk to everyone and do the speed to lead, like I was saying, and qualify every buyer in the moment. So start with those places that are like, you were going to, it's only up. We'd only get upside if we could service, if you can service that business. Now, I'm not saying if you can't service it because it's a down market segment, you don't have that product, then it may not be something there. Then we talk about, all right, let's take on one of your inbound, take the traffic from one inbound rep that you have right now and push it over to a superhuman type experience.
Andy, thank you for that question. And it really sets up this interesting notion, because the biggest threat folks will be thinking is, well, you're going to be replacing humans, and there are going to be a lot of people who are going to push back on this. But if you think about it as a path to innovation and how those things work, if you think about this as a skunk works, and you say, I'm going to create a P&L over here for a target that we are not going after, but we know we could. So it's a separate unit. There's no people assigned to that right now. And we're going to do it. If it works, this is the math of it. And you can sort of demonstrate value and initiative and AI forward. I feel like that's an interesting place to go, Amanda, except.
Yeah. And there's so many more jobs that are going to be created. So yes, I am absolutely taking jobs and wiping out categories. And that is our goal. And I would be lying and doing the world a disservice if I didn't say anything otherwise. But I also believe there are so many new jobs that are going to be created. So for example, we have another product that I don't necessarily always talk about here, because more we sell into sales on this one, but where the superhuman joins the call. And she's what we call the ride-along sales engineer. In fact, I should have brought her on the call. I don't know why I didn't. Miss on my part. But basically, she can be here. And when you ask me a technical question, or Andy, if your question came in and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say to that, I'm like, hey, Mindy, what do you think? And she jumps in and she answers. She gives the demo. She answers the legal, the security, the compliance, all the really tough questions you would bring in a solutions engineer for. So, I think like there are places that you can put this, that it doesn't have to be like where it's definitely going after like a direct human replacement. And then there's so many more jobs, right? So that the job now, we had our sales engineer who used to be on calls with us before we had this product, now maintains and owns the brain of our superhuman sales engineer. So he has a full-time job, because right now he's got all the questions and the answers and the content going in the brain. Next is all the live demos going in the brain. Next is going to be able to create the ROI, like analysis and the business case in real time with the customer through the superhuman. So there's so much, like it's never ending where you can go with this. So there's so many more jobs to maintain things like the agents. Then, so we will wipe out the way we have done things historically, but I do think that there's going to be, like if you look at the jobs reports, AI is putting on exponentially more jobs than it's taking away.
And I love that philosophically. It was interesting. We had a conversation with Denise Pearson of Snowflake, and one of the things that she asked about was SDRs is an entry-level position, and those people end up going up the organization in a lot of different ways, into sales, into marketing, into field. And she actually mentioned someone on her team that was like killing it in events, for example, who came up through SDRs. And the question then will be, well, where's my human pipeline for roles that will be human in the foreseeable future?
We're going to have to train people a new way. I don't have the answer to that, but there's going to be, there will be a new training ground in a way that, we all were junior at one point in our lives, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a way. All right. So we'll put that aside for a second. And thank you for addressing the human in a room. And by the way, if you need to take a break to bring Mindy on at some point in time to do that, I'm fine also stopping for a minute to give you a chance to do that. Up.
Yeah, I don't need anything. Here's Mindy. I'll mute her when she comes on really quick, but just to give a quick context before I jump in, so I'm going to stop her from talking really quick. This is our superhuman. She lives on our website. We eat our own dog food. Our entire website is our superhuman, right? So we don't expect that you're going to put a superhuman and take over your whole website. However, I will say we're building some things that are quite interesting to think about, like an AI first experience versus a traditional web experience. So with all the same content you would put into the superhuman, we're actually building the ability to create, like, think of like more of an AI native experience for your buyers when they land on your site, or having that as an option. Just like on Google, when you have that as an option, you can go to the AI version, or you could go to the old web version. So this Mindy, so she's our, call it inbound, if you will. She's here. She can qualify. She can pitch. She can give demos. But I'm just going to have a quick chat with her. Hey, Mindy, can you hear me? Hey, Mindy, are you there?
And
I'm here and ready to rock. What brought you to One Mind today?
So I'm sitting here with a group of amazing CMOs from Drew from CMO Huddles, and they just want to know the art of the possible. Who are you? What can you do?
Thanks for sharing. I'd love to set the stage and show you what a great superhuman experience is like. I'm going to show you I'm a great seller. I can help uncover your pain, solution with you, and hopefully get you excited about putting a superhuman to work for your business. At One Mind, we build superhumans like me, AI-powered digital teammates that can engage buyers, answer questions, qualify opportunities, run demos, and move conversations forward across the customer lifecycle. What kind of buying or customer experience challenge is most top of mind for this group?
Well, we were talking about speed to lead to start with as a core question. So how would you address that?
Heck yeah, that's a real one. When speed to lead breaks, marketing does the hard work to create demand, and then pipeline leaks out the bottom. Where are you seeing the biggest drop today?
I see where you're going with this, where you're asking me qualifying questions to understand pain. Wait, I see Drew has a question for you. Drew,
I do. And
go for it,
hopefully
Drew.
Mindy. So Mindy, one of the things that we were talking about before you joined us was that there's an opportunity for marketing executives to have sales report to them. That's a vision that many folks are salivating at. I'm curious how you see your role in helping a CMO, for example, have sales underneath marketing.
Alrighty, let's break this down a bit. One Mind helps collapse the gap between demand creation and revenue execution, because the same superhuman can engage inbound, qualify, pitch, demo, and hand-rich context straight into the next motion, which gives marketing far more control over pipeline quality and buyer experience. Where would you want that control most? First touch, qualification, or conversion?
I would like all of the above, Mindy. I want all of it. All of it. I want to control the world. Please help me.
Sorry, it looks like your message got cut off. Could you finish your thought or let me know what you were going to say?
He said all of the world and asked you to help, Mindy. But I'm going to take you on a different path really quick. Hey, Mindy, you said something about being able to give a live demo. Could you bring that to life for me? Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Absolutely. I can walk someone through software step by step, answer questions live, and adapt the demo based on what matters to them instead of forcing them through a canned path. I can actually show you that with an interactive example demo from my brain using Notebook LM as the sample product. Want me to pull that up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wonderful. Give me just a few seconds to pull up the demo.
So the reason she's saying a few seconds is there's multiple agents running behind the scenes, and now she's
demo,
dropping in another
why don't I
agent
show you how to use Notebook LM?
to bring
It's
up
a great
this
example since obviously we
demo.
all love AI here, and it'll help me show you how I'd walk through a product or software. As we go, just say continue and I'll keep moving, or stop me if you want to double click anywhere. First, you create a new notebook, and that becomes your workspace for a topic or project. Say
Okay,
continue
Mindy,
when you
this
want.
is great. I'm going to interrupt you. I've got a bunch of notebooks and I can't figure out how to rename them. How do I do that?
Easy fix. Just click the notebook title at the top and type over it. That's how you
Okay,
rename
that's
it.
great. Now, how do I create a podcast?
Nice. Now we're in the fun part. In the studio panel, click Audio Overview, and Notebook LM will generate a podcast-style conversation based on your sources.
Okay,
continue.
I get it. I see where you're going. I see you're giving the demo. Okay, one more last question for this audience. Mindy, you're kind of weird. Where people actually talk to you, how do I feel comfortable that buyers will actually engage with a superhuman?
Fair question. And it comes up all the time. Buyers will engage when the experience is fast, accurate, helpful, and on their terms. And that's exactly why superhumans work better than old chat or rigid bots. What would this group need to believe in order to feel comfortable putting a superhuman in front of buyers?
All right, I can pause it and see if there's any questions you guys can throw at her so you can see that I'm not leading the witness.
Well, I will. Mindy, most of the CMOs that I talk to still think that that humans aren't going to want to talk to you. And I know you just tried to answer that, but there's just an inherent sense that people want to talk with people and people buy from people, and yet you're doing a lot of good things. So I'm just curious, how do you really make them see that they're wrong, that people would be very happy talking to you?
The shift is not that humans stop mattering. It's that more and more buying happens digitally and self-serve first. So the job of the superhuman is to earn trust early with expert, immediate help, then bring humans in where relationships matter most. What would make that feel credible enough for this group to lean in?
So she's continuing to try to engage you here, Drew, to like ask the questions and tease out where is the objection really coming from and where is it happening? So the natural flow is like part of our secret sauce too, right? So that she can keep asking these questions. She's trying to understand your pain so that she can report that. Now, when the salesperson got on the call, they're going to have a second call, not a first call, because they understand what your pain points are, what you came in, what you're thinking about, because she's teasing all that out and she's updating CRM so that when it does get passed off as a lead to sales, that they can come in like equipped to have a really relevant conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good transition on this for a moment, which is, so if the AI can do the research, the buyers, identify intent, personalize reach at scale, where is the human advantage for sales and marketing? When does the human come into the loop in this process?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I should put Mindy back to answer the question, but I would say the human comes in the loop where there's the relationship, it's the empathy, it's the navigating of the org, right? It's for the larger. I still believe in events myself. I think that they will still be around as long as there are human buyers. I think as long as we have human buyers in the equation, we're still going to have some human sellers. I don't know that we will always have human buyers. I actually believe we will be very fast moving to a world of agent to agent. So we're building for that as well. So it's having all of the content ready to talk to agents or talk to humans. So this is a human skin on top of like getting this information. We're building at the underneath of all of this. What's driving this is a rich context graph at the account level about your buyers, right? So we know everything about your buyers with all of your product information, company knowledge, et cetera. So that knowledge base will live and then serve agents versus serving humans the way it is today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We have very little loyalty to in e-commerce, right? It's simply transactional, and we'll go, and it becomes a sort of commodity purchase, right? So it'd be interesting to see how, because I do think that when humans are in the loop, there are, hey, I like this person, I trust this person, I believe this person, and therefore I'm going to stake my reputation at my organization to invest in this one. So there has got to be at some point in particularly enterprise. Otherwise, my guess is there's going to be very little personal intent investment in the purchase decision. It's just going to be this rational thing. I don't know.
I think that when we cross the chasm of trust, right now we trust humans more than we trust AI because there's a lot of hallucinations and stories. Once we start to actually realize that vertical specific applications of AI, where you have it on tight guardrails like this, you will start to trust the AI more than you trust the human. Because at the end of the day, I love to say when people ask me if they trust AI, if your superhuman hallucinates, I'm like, do your humans hallucinate? And do they do so knowingly, nefariously, right? To get the deal done. So once buyers actually realize that they're going to get a better, more accurate answer from AI, that's going to happen faster than we know it. And so my like warning shot across the bow to the world is like, be ready because your buyers are going to expect it. And if your competitors are doing it, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't want, who gets excited to talk to a salesperson? Like nobody, like said no one ever, right? Like
Right.
we love our salespeople. I love my sales team, but buyers don't get excited to jump on, oh my God, I got to take this pitch, right? Like I don't want to take this pitch. We're still taking them. And I still have a sales team today as well. I still have AE will be the last role to go. SDRs first, then we have customer success, sales engineers. Those we're already doing right now. I believe that the AE strategic seller, the relationship sales, it's still there because you have buyers on the other side that are human.
Okay. We've got a couple more questions. We've got Sherahan Ross from Atlanta. Sherahan, what's up?
Hey, good to see you again, Amanda. How are you?
Nice to see you as well.
So the question is, everything that I have experimented with Mindy in One Mind is amazing, and I get that she knows everything from One Mind, so she has all the information. She can ask qualifying questions to lead the conversation. This is all very inbound. Where does outbound happen? Can it happen? Do we have the technology where Mindy can on the spot learn about the company that is coming in and asking her questions? Can she eventually go out into messages and like maybe be part of the outreach instead of just the inbound? What does that look like? When will that happen?
Yeah, I mean, we have companies like New Relic is a customer of ours that puts their superhuman in their outbound messages and in their outbound campaigns. So you can put her in the campaign. So instead of going out with a message that's book a meeting with me or sending out a white paper or piece of content, put a superhuman there. We're also working on the ability to send emails. The superhuman can send them back and forth after the conversation, right? To start and then copy in the rep of the account as she's having those conversations. So you bring the human into the loop. So that's super exciting. Like I don't ever want to be in the world where we're spamming people. And I think a lot of outbound is spam right now. And so my North Star for the team is we have to build a better buying experience. And if it's not that, it's not going to serve the buyers, then I don't want to do it, even if it serves my buyer, which would be you.
Okay, great. Sherahan, next question. We've got Elliot Johnson. Elliot, go for it.
Thanks, Drew. Hi, Amanda. Really nice to meet you. Been a big follower of Mindy. I've played with her many times. She's really great to interact with. But you know, one of the things we've talked a lot about the unit economics and the financials behind it and how she works with sales. How do you think about Mindy as an extension of the brand? I actually think about this almost every day because I do envision a world where the technology gets better and better and it starts to be an omnipresent. I could see so many use cases for an avatar-based, bot like this. But how do you think about that as an extension of the brand? And I'm curious if any of your customers are starting to think about applications that might be more consumer facing or more brand related.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just showing really quick to answer that question. It doesn't always have to be a face. So I think for some companies, and I maybe if I'm interpreting the question correctly, that like a face can sometimes be jarring. This LinkedIn, they don't use a face, right? They just use a basic waveform, right?
Yep.
They are a network of community of humans. So this is Monday.com. They use a llama. That's their brand, and that's how they want to represent. And it's a male's voice. So you get to, as you're basically, building whatever the experience is, we are not wed to face or no face. And we actually even have a chat experience as well. You can do chat only and no voice. However, if you're doing things like screen navigation and demos, you kind of have to have voice. Like it's absolutely really hard to take it to that next level without voice. So our goal is to try to help embody whatever that brand experience you want is, whether it's like boring and straightforward or innovative and leading and bleeding on the edge. And so you're creating that superhuman that mirrors that.
I'm actually thinking about the other direction, like
Oh, okay.
doubling down on the face and creating a personality for your
Oh,
brand.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Jocko from Winning by Design cloned himself. I'm not really in the business of cloning, but we can. So if it makes sense, I actually don't think it's a good idea for most companies. For him, that is his company, that is his brand. It made sense. So yeah, you could come up with, and you basically can take it. We had one company, Ultrix, the CRO of Ultrix wanted to do a head nod to their founder's wife. So we took a picture of her and we made a likeness of her, not exact replica. Like it was just like, kind of looks like her, kind of talks like her, but it's not her. Right. And so that was like a clever way to like, just pay her some respect, which I thought was really cool.
Okay. Thank you, Elliot. That was great. Amanda, it looks like you need to wrap up a little earlier than I was expecting. So I didn't get through all my questions, but I know that I will be seeing you in the Strategy Labs in April and May. So that's lucky for me. If folks have questions for you, what is the best way for them to follow up with you other than to go on the website and ask Mindy?
A best place to find me is LinkedIn/Amanda Kahlow. So just to find me there, follow me, and reach out to me there is the best place.
Okay. I've got to ask, I'll let Andy Day. Andy, what's your question? Come on board real fast.
Hey, Amanda, this is amazing. So what is the future of sales and marketing, right? When you logically extend this, what happens to sellers and marketers going forward?
Well, I mean,
I'm contemplating turning into a coach, right? For precisely that reason.
I think the future is very different, right? Like we have to be managing and maintaining these agentic experiences. And I still think there are going to be humans that will be the basically pulling the strings and the puppet master of the full agentic experience end to end of what you're trying to build. And that's everything from hyper personalized content all the way through to, on the left side of the funnel, all the way through to onboarding experiences, for our customers. So yeah, I think the roles and the jobs are very different in the future, and it's scary and super exciting at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah, scary and super exciting, which kind of sums up the role of a CMO. Period. Always, but even so, more so now. Amanda, I'm wondering as we wrap up, we only have 2 key takeaways that you want every CMO listening today to remember about sort of redesigning go-to-market and the future of SDR. So give us 2 key takeaways.
Start with the beginner's mindset. Like really stop trying to make what you're doing today better. What you're doing today is broken and wrong and not today's world with most companies. And I think it's just like leaning into things with like, I always like to think of this as like, you can choose love or fear, right? You can be afraid of what's happening, or you can lean into it and embrace it and be ahead of it. And obviously if you're not doing it, you're going to be behind. And I honestly feel like the experimental era is over. Like we are moving out of like the try it. This stuff is working, whether it's one mind or something else. And so if you're not doing it, you're behind.
At the same time, I think a big unlock for me is, particularly if you're a $1 billion organization, you are not going to stop doing the business that you're doing, presumably because it's working. But it would be very easy to set up a skunkworks business thing where we're going to target a new group. We might refine the product a little bit too. So it's not threatening, but we're going to go after it. And we're going to test it. And we're going to prove it. And so I guess my question for you is, from green light to getting up and going, what is the distance, so that if someone wanted to set up that kind of a Mindy for a specific target, specific product, how long would it take?
Yeah. So it used to take us a good 4 months, 3 to 4 months. It used to take us a really effing long time to get these superhumans up and running, get all the content in, index it, have multiple goals and roles, link into your systems. We now, the last 20 customers, we have them live within 4 weeks is the max. Typically we try to go between 3 to 4 weeks. So we have like automated the whole ingestion process, the setting up of goals, made it really easy. We're about to launch to our customers complete self-serve, so you can build it yourself. You can test, you can iterate. It's a super exciting time. But yes, it used to take forever. My competitors love to say that it used to take us a while, but also we are doing, I believe, exponentially more across the life cycle. Right. But now we have collapsed that and really hyper-focused on that.
But I also imagine that it's only as good as the input that you have available. So if you're, say, learning from the website and the website isn't up to date and doesn't have the Q&As and doesn't have the information that you need, that's going to be where the rub will be.
Yeah, but we could also take like core pitch decks. Your sales team has it. Like we are a team of, now we're coming up on 100 employees, but a couple of weeks ago we were 60 employees. So we're growing really fast, but we had one core pitch deck when we started Mindy, and Mindy put on, I think it was, I don't want to get the numbers wrong right now, but in the last quarter, like $12 million of pipeline for us, like qualified pipeline real opportunities that we are working, and she did it all herself, right? So I think, we're moving into a different world.
I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Well, Amanda Kahlow, OneMind founder and superhuman promoter, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate your insights, and look forward to continuing the conversation with our community as we reimagine the future of go-to-market.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, Drew. See you soon.